There are seasons in life that test the very core of who we are. Seasons when prayers seem to echo back unanswered. Seasons when doors remain closed no matter how many times we knock. Seasons when the silence of heaven feels heavier than the burden we are carrying. Waiting can be one of the most difficult experiences in the life of faith. It can make you question what God is doing. It can make you wonder whether He has forgotten your name, your tears, or your needs. But the Word of God reminds us in Ecclesiastes 3.1 that to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. That means your waiting is not wasted. Your delay is not denial. Your season has purpose. God does not operate according to your clock. He moves according to His divine wisdom. What feels late to you is still perfectly on time to Him. You may be looking at your circumstances and wondering why things have not changed. You may be asking why the breakthrough has not come, why the healing has not happened, why the answer has not arrived. But God sees what you cannot see. He sees the full picture while you only see one painful chapter. Sometimes God makes us wait because He is preparing something greater than what we ask for. Sometimes He delays the blessing because He is first preparing our hearts to receive it. If He gave us everything the moment we asked, we might not be ready to steward it. We might misuse it, mishandle it, or fail to appreciate it. Waiting is often God's classroom. It is where trust is developed. It is where faith becomes stronger. It is where dependence on Him deepens. Think about the seed planted in the ground. Before anyone sees growth above the surface, something is happening underneath. Roots are being formed. Strength is being developed. Stability is being established. If you judge that seed too early, you might think nothing is happening. But hidden progress is still progress. That is exactly how God works in your life. You may not see visible movement, but God is working beneath the surface. He is aligning circumstances. He is arranging people. He is removing obstacles you cannot even see. He is protecting you from things you do not understand. He is orchestrating details with perfect precision. The enemy wants you to believe that the wait means abandonment. He wants you to grow discouraged and walk away just before the answer comes. Ties, he wants you to doubt the goodness of God. But do not let delay destroy your confidence. God has not forgotten you. He remembers every prayer you whispered through tears. He remembers every night you stayed awake asking Him for help. He remembers every act of obedience, every sacrifice, every moment you chose faith over fear. Nothing escapes His attention. There is a dangerous temptation during waiting seasons to take matters into your own hands, to force doors open that God has kept closed, to settle for less than His best because His timing feels too slow. But every time we run ahead of God, we create unnecessary pain. We invite confusion into places where God intended peace. Patience is not passive. Waiting on God does not mean doing nothing. It means trusting while you prepare. It means worshiping while you wait. It means obeying even when there is no visible evidence that anything is changing. Faith says, even if I do not see it, I believe God is working. Trust says, even if I do not understand it, I believe God knows what He is doing. Hope says, even if it takes longer than I expected, I will not give up. God's timing has never failed. Not once. When Abraham and Sarah waited for a promised child, it seemed impossible. Years passed. Their bodies aged. Their hope was tested. But when God's appointed time arrived, the promise was fulfilled. When Joseph sat in prison, forgotten and falsely accused, it must have seemed like his dreams had died. But in one moment, God changed everything and moved him from prison to palace. When Lazarus died, it looked as though Jesus had arrived too late. But Jesus was not late. He was preparing to reveal a greater miracle. What if what feels like delay is actually divine preparation? What if God is not saying no, but simply saying, not yet? There are blessings that can only be received in the right season. There are answers that only make sense when the timing is complete. There are doors that will open only when God knows you are ready to walk through them. Do not measure God's faithfulness by your calendar. His clock is different. One day can feel like a lifetime when you are hurting. 1 month can feel unbearable when you are desperate for change. But God is eternal. He sees beyond today's pain into tomorrow's purpose. Trust Him in the waiting. Trust Him when the phone does not ring. Trust. In Him when the opportunity does not come. Trust Him when the relationship has not been restored. Trust Him when healing seems delayed. Trust Him when your heart is tired. Even now, while you are waiting, God is shaping you into someone stronger. He is teaching you perseverance. He is teaching you surrender. He is teaching you that your security is not in the blessing, it is in Him. And when your appointed time comes, no force on earth can stop what God has prepared for you. No person can block it. No circumstance can prevent it. No delay can cancel it. What God has ordained for your life will arrive exactly when it is meant to. Your responsibility is not to control the timing. Your responsibility is to remain faithful, remain prayerful, remain hopeful, remain obedient. Keep planting seeds of faith. Keep thanking God before the answer appears. Keep believing when everything around you suggests otherwise. The waiting may be painful, but it is not permanent. This season will not last forever. Morning always follows the darkest night. Breakthrough often comes just when people are ready to give up. Your time is coming. The answer is on its way. The door will open. The healing will come. The peace will return. The burden will lift. And when it happens, you will understand why God made you wait. You will see how every delay protected you. You will see how every tear strengthened you. You will see how every unanswered prayer was shaping a greater answer. Until then, anchor your heart in this truth. There is a season for everything, and God makes everything beautiful in His time. Not your time, His time. And His time is always perfect. There are moments in life when waiting feels heavier than the burden itself. You pray, you believe, you hold on to hope, yet nothing seems to move. The answer you long for has not arrived. The breakthrough you expected has not appeared. The silence can feel overwhelming, and the delay can begin to shake your confidence. It is in these moments that the heart begins to ask difficult questions. Has God forgotten me? Does He hear my prayers? Why is this taking so long? But Scripture reminds us with great certainty that there is a season for everything and a time for every purpose under heaven. This means that your life is not unfolding randomly. Your waiting is not meaningless. Every delay has a divine purpose. See, and every season is held in the hands of a God who makes no mistakes. God's timing is not rushed, and it is never careless. He does not respond based on pressure, emotion, or human urgency. He moves according to His perfect wisdom. While we often focus on what we can see, God is working far beyond what our eyes can understand. What appears to be inactivity may actually be preparation. What feels like delay may be divine protection. There are moments when we desperately ask God for something, believing we are ready to receive it, but God, in His loving wisdom, knows that the right time has not yet come. He sees dangers we cannot see. He understands details we cannot comprehend. He knows exactly when every blessing will have its greatest impact. Waiting can feel painful because it requires surrender. It forces us to release control and trust someone we cannot physically see. Human nature wants immediate answers. We want quick solutions and visible progress, but faith often grows strongest in the silence. Trust is developed in the moments when there is no evidence, only belief. Anyone can trust God when prayers are answered quickly. Anyone can praise Him when doors open immediately. But true spiritual maturity is built when you can stand firm in the middle of uncertainty and still say, God, I trust your timing. Think about how God works in nature. A seed planted in the ground does not break through the soil overnight. For a long time, nothing appears to happen. To the human eye, it seems hidden and inactive. But beneath the surface, roots are forming. Strength is developing. Life is growing in secret. The delay is not failure. The delay is preparation. If the seed emerged too soon, it would not survive. It needs hidden time before visible growth can happen. The same is true in your life. God may be doing His greatest work in places you cannot yet see. While you are asking for the visible answer, He may be building invisible strength within you. He may be teaching patience, humility, endurance, and dependence. He may be preparing your character for the blessing you are requesting. Because receiving something before you are ready can sometimes be more harmful than waiting. Sometimes we misunderstand delay as rejection. We assume that if God has not answered yet, He must be saying no. But delay and denial are not the same. A closed door today does not meet. EAN, it will remain closed forever. A silent season does not mean God has stepped away. In fact, God may be closer than ever, working quietly and faithfully on your behalf. There is comfort in knowing that God's timing has never failed, not once. Throughout Scripture, God fulfilled every promise exactly when the appointed time arrived. Abraham waited many years for the son God promised him. Joseph endured betrayal, slavery, and imprisonment before stepping into the purpose God had prepared. David was anointed as king long before he ever sat on the throne. In each case, there was waiting. In each case, there was uncertainty. But in each case, God's timing proved perfect. If those individuals had received the promise too early, they would not have been prepared to carry its weight. The waiting itself was part of the blessing. The delay was shaping them into the people they needed to become. It may not feel comforting right now. It may not make sense today. But one day you may look back and thank God for every unanswered prayer, every postponed opportunity, and every painful season of waiting. You may realize that what felt like God withholding was actually God protecting. What felt like silence was actually careful preparation. What felt like abandonment was actually His loving hand guiding every detail. Do not measure God's faithfulness by the speed of His answers. His love is not proven by how quickly things change. His goodness is not limited by your current circumstances. God's perfect timing often requires patient trust. The waiting may stretch your heart, but it is also strengthening your faith. It may challenge your understanding, but it is also deepening your dependence on Him. Every day you continue to trust Him, even without answers, is a testimony of faith. God knows exactly where you are. He sees every tear, hears every whispered prayer, and understands every burden you carry. Nothing about your situation is hidden from Him. The calendar in your hand may suggest that time is running out, but God's plan is not limited by human deadlines. He is never late. He is never behind. He is always working according to a perfect schedule designed specifically for your life. Even when the waiting is painful, His timing remains perfect. One of the greatest challenges in the life of faith is learning how to trust God when nothing seems to be changing. It is easy to believe when prayers are answered quickly. It is easy to praise when doors are opening and blessings are visible. But the true depth of faith is revealed in the waiting seasons when heaven feels silent and every day feels like another test of endurance. It is in those difficult moments that God begins to build something far greater than the answer you are asking for. He begins to build strength within you. He begins to shape your character, deepen your trust, and teach your heart how to depend completely on Him. Faith that has never been tested can remain shallow. It can become dependent on circumstances rather than rooted in God's unchanging nature. But when life becomes uncertain, when the answers do not come, and when the path ahead is unclear, something powerful begins to happen. You are invited into a deeper relationship with God. You begin to seek Him not just for what He can give, but for who He is. You begin to realize that His presence is more valuable than immediate solutions. You begin to understand that even in silence, He is still near. Waiting has a way of exposing what we truly believe. It reveals whether our trust is placed in God or in outcomes. Many we say we trust Him. But when delays come, anxiety begins to take over. Fear starts to whisper that perhaps God has forgotten. Doubt tries to convince us that maybe His promises are not for us. But faith pushes back against those lies. Faith chooses to stand on truth even when emotions are unstable. Faith says, I may not understand what God is doing, but I know His character. I know He is good. I know He is faithful. Trusting God in the waiting requires surrender. It means letting go of the need to control every detail. It means accepting that God's ways are higher than your ways, and His thoughts are beyond your understanding. This can be uncomfortable because human nature wants certainty. We want clear timelines. We want visible signs. We want assurance that things are moving in the right direction. But God often asks us to walk by faith, not by sight. There is something deeply transformative about continuing to obey God when the reward has not yet appeared. Choosing to pray when answers are delayed strengthens your spirit. Choosing to worship in uncertainty develops resilience. Choosing to remain faithful when nothing around you seems to change creates spiritual maturity. It cannot be built any other way. Think about how gold is refined. It must pass through intense heat before impurities are removed and its true value is revealed. The process is not comfortable, but it is necessary. In the same way, seasons of waiting often feel like fire. They can test your patience, challenge your emotions, and stretch your faith beyond what feels possible. But God uses that process to remove fear, pride, impatience, and self-reliance. He is refining your heart. Sometimes God delays the answer because He wants you to discover that He is enough even before the blessing arrives. If your peace depends entirely on changed circumstances, then your foundation is fragile. But when your peace rests in God alone, it cannot be shaken. Waiting teaches you how to anchor your heart in something eternal rather than temporary. Trust grows when you remember God's faithfulness in the past. Think back to the prayers He has already answered. Remember the moments He carried you through when you thought you would not survive. Recall the unexpected ways He provided, protected, and guided you. The same God who was faithful then is faithful now. His track record has never changed. Strength is not developed in easy seasons. Strength is built when you choose to keep going even when your heart feels tired. It grows when you continue believing after disappointment. It becomes visible when you resist the temptation to give up. The waiting season can also teach you patience, which is one of the most difficult spiritual lessons. Patience is not simply learning how to tolerate delay. It is learning how to remain peaceful during delay. It is the ability to trust that God is active even when you cannot see evidence. Patience protects your heart from desperation. It keeps you from making decisions based on fear. It helps you avoid stepping outside of God's will just to escape discomfort. Many people make painful choices because they become tired of waiting. They settle for relationships God never intended. They force opportunities that were never meant for them. They compromise values because they want quick relief. But those who trust God learn to wait with confidence. They understand that anything received outside of God's timing can never bring lasting peace. God is not just interested in changing your situation. He is interested in transforming you. The answer you are asking for may change your circumstances, but the waiting is changing your heart. It is teaching you endurance. It is building spiritual muscles you did not know you needed. It is preparing you to carry future blessings with wisdom and gratitude. Every day you remain faithful in the waiting, your trust becomes stronger. Every moment you choose faith over fear, your spirit becomes more resilient. Every prayer you whisper in uncertainty becomes part of the foundation God is building beneath your life. The waiting may be uncomfortable, but it is not empty. It is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more deeply rooted in the presence of God. One of the most powerful truths a believer can hold on to is the assurance that God's appointed time will come according to His perfect purpose. No delay can cancel what He has ordained. No obstacle can prevent what He has promised. No human hand can block the blessings that God has already prepared. What He has spoken over your life will come to pass, not according to your schedule, but according to His divine plan. This truth becomes an anchor for the soul during seasons of uncertainty, when nothing seems to be happening and everything else is. Every prayer feels unanswered. There are moments when life can make you feel forgotten. You look around and see others moving forward while you remain in the same place. You watch doors opening for others while your own seem firmly shut. You begin to question whether your opportunity will ever come. You wonder if your time has been missed or if somehow your prayers have gone unheard. But God's timing is not based on comparison. Your journey is uniquely designed by Him, and what He has planned for you is not dependent on anyone else's progress. God never loses track of His promises. He never forgets what He has spoken. Even when circumstances suggest otherwise, His word remains true. There may be seasons when it feels as though heaven is silent, but silence does not mean absence. Delay does not mean denial. Hidden movement is still movement. God may be working in ways your eyes cannot yet perceive, arranging details, removing obstacles, and preparing blessings that are far greater than what you can currently imagine. Many times people become discouraged because they expect God to move according to their own timeline. They set personal deadlines. They decide when the answer should come. They create expectations for how God should respond. And when things do not happen as planned, disappointment can turn into doubt. But God does not operate according to human urgency. His plans are never rushed, and His timing is never accidental. Every answer comes at the precise moment when it will accomplish His highest purpose in your life. The Bible is filled with examples of individuals who had to wait for their appointed time. Joseph received dreams of leadership long before he saw them fulfilled. Between the promise and the fulfillment came betrayal, hardship, and years of uncertainty. Yet every painful step was part of God's preparation. David was chosen to be king, but he spent years running, hiding, and enduring opposition before he ever wore a crown. Esther was placed in the palace before she understood the purpose of her position. In each story, the appointed time came, and when it arrived, everything made sense. Your story is no different. The waiting season may feel long, but it is not empty. Every day is part of the process. Every delay is shaping your readiness. God is not only preparing the blessing, He is preparing you. Sometimes the answer has not come, because there are lessons that must be learned first. There may be wisdom you need, strength you have not yet developed, or trust that must grow deeper. If God gave certain blessings too early, they could become burdens instead of gifts. His timing protects you from receiving something before you are ready to handle it. There is great peace in surrendering the timeline to God. It frees your heart from anxiety. It releases you from the pressure of trying to force outcomes. It allows you to stop striving and start trusting. You no longer need to obsess over when things will happen, because you know that when God decides the moment is right, nothing can stop what He intends to do. No person can take away what God has assigned to you. No rejection can cancel your destiny. No setback can erase His plan. Even mistakes and failures can be woven into His purpose when your life is surrendered to Him. What looks like a detour may actually be a necessary part of the journey. The appointed time often arrives suddenly. After long seasons of waiting, change can happen in a moment. One phone call can alter everything. One answered prayer can transform an entire situation. One open door can lead you into a season you never imagined possible. What seemed impossible for months or years can shift in an instant when God says it is time. That is why perseverance matters. That is why you must not give up. The breakthrough may be closer than you think. The answer may already be on its way. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean God is inactive. He is working behind the scenes with precision and purpose. Your responsibility is not to control the timing. Your responsibility is to remain faithful where you are. Continue praying even when answers seem delayed. Continue trusting even when emotions feel weak. Continue obeying even when the path is unclear. Continue believing that what God has promised will come to pass. There will come a day when you look back on this season and understand why the waiting was necessary. You will see how every delay protected you, how every unanswered prayer redirected you, and how every painful moment strengthened you. You will recognize that God's timing was not simply good, it was perfect. The appointed time is not something you need to chase. It is something you need to trust. God knows exactly when to release every blessing, open every door, and fulfill every promise. Your time is coming, and when it arrives, it will be clear that every moment of waiting was part of His perfect purpose. As you walk through this season of waiting, remember that your life is not being delayed, it is being divinely directed. Every unanswered prayer, every silent moment, and every difficult day is still under the sovereign hand of God. What feels uncertain to you is already known by Him. What feels painful now is often preparing something beautiful that you cannot yet see. The waiting may test your patience, but it is also strengthening your faith. It may challenge your understanding, but it is teaching you to trust beyond what your eyes can see. God has not forgotten your tears. He has not overlooked your prayers. He has not ignored your hopes. Every promise He has spoken still stands, and every purpose He has planned for your life will unfold at exactly the right time. His timing is never rushed, never delayed, and never wrong. Even when you feel weary, keep believing. Even when the road feels long, keep trusting. Even when heaven feels quiet, keep praying. What God is preparing for you is worth every moment of waiting. One day, why? The door will open. One day, the answer will come. One day, the burden will lift, and you will understand why God asked you to wait. You will see how His delays protected you, how His silence strengthened you, and how His perfect timing brought blessings far greater than anything you could have arranged on your own. Until that day, hold tightly to His promises and anchor your heart in His faithfulness. Your season is changing. Your breakthrough is coming. Your appointed time is near. Trust God, her time is coming. And when it arrives, it will be more beautiful than you ever imagined. Keep trusting, keep waiting, and never forget. God is never late. He is always right on time.